Parents, those who have lost loved ones, asked us to continue and asked me to continue to not give up, and of course, we said we wouldn't.
Tonight, the government of Saskatchewan passes legislation everyone hopes will reduce the number of suicides.
The whole buzz around town was how proud everyone was of us, and especially the youth, and how well they were playing.
Dancing to the beat of a different drummer, he is leaving town, but sure his community's culture will continue to thrive.
Where other agencies have kind of scaled back their programming and that, the Friendship Centre, we've expanded with our COVID funding.
And taking it to the streets. When people can't come to you, the Vancouver Friendship Centre goes to them. Good evening, I'm Melissa Ridgen. Today is Missing Murdered Indigenous Women's and Girls Awareness Day, and in Halifax, red dresses were hung in ceremony with a small crowd due to COVID restrictions, asking what has become of the 231 calls for justice. Angel Moore reports.
We will not allow them to be forgotten.
Those are the words of Darlene Gilbert, spirit name Thunderbird Swooping Down Woman, at the MMIWG Awareness Day event held in front of Halifax City Hall.
As women of Turtle Island, we believe that we're still at risk. We have men's camps coming into our province, no consultation with our treaty women. You know, our girls are at danger.
Gilbert says the federal government has ignored the 231 calls for justice since the MMIWG report was released almost 2 years ago.
It's their prioritizing our issues in their government office. What they see fit should come first. We see fit that our women should be protected.
Loretta Saunders, Tanya Brooks, Cassidy Bernard, Chantel Moore.
Those are the names of the missing and murdered. Taylor Paul, a survivor herself, says man camps increases the risk of violence against women, and part of the issue is that women cannot afford security.
We see shelters entirely full. We see a population of homeless overflowing onto the streets. And when we are part of the most vulnerable population, you have to understand that our women are in those numbers.
Red dresses were hung in ceremony at City Hall and Province House with the names of the MMIWG. Gilbert hopes will bring awareness.
We just want to make a statement that these women are important, that has been, passed on, and we want to make sure that this stops.
According to Statistics Canada, Indigenous women are 6 times likely to be murdered than non-Indigenous women. Angel Moore, APTN National News, Jabuktuk, also known as Halifax.
A bill to establish a suicide prevention strategy, which was rejected twice in the Saskatchewan legislature, has finally passed. As APTN's Priscilla Wolf explains, Bill 601 aims to save lives.
I'll move that bill, the Saskatchewan Strategy for Suicide Prevention Act 2021, be now read a second time.
Doyle Vermette, MLA for Cumberland and critic for mental health, says Bill 601 is something he's been pushing for years.
The bill's been introduced as the member for Cumberland riding as MLA, and I've presented the bill 3 times.
While he's happy the bill was passed, he's disappointed it took so long. Vermette first proposed it in 2018. Friday,
Bill 601, the provincial-wide suicide strategy bill, was passed. But going beyond that, to have, the first time the bill was introduced, it unfortunately died on the order desk. It didn't make it. The second time, it did get to a vote, and it got voted down by all members of the government. The Sask Party government voted it down.
Vermette says he kept pushing it because of families who kept urging him to help.
Parents, those who have lost loved ones, asked us to continue and asked me to continue to not give up. And of course, we said we wouldn't, and we tried our best to bring awareness.
The bill states that the health ministry must establish a provincial strategy for suicide prevention. The provincial government will have 180 days to build a suicide prevention strategy with consultation from groups like FSIN. Chief Bobby Cameron, the chief of the Federation of Sovereign Indigenous Nations, say they have been preparing for this and consulting with the communities and youth.
Our First Nation people, right at the ground level, those teachers, those kokums, those mushrooms, those moms, those dads, and more importantly, those youth, that their voices are heard, that the direction that they're recommending is fully implemented to the fullest extent.
Cameron adds, the community, specifically the youth, have already said what needs to be done.
We've already had some really good recommendations the last couple of years. There's a lot of lands-based programs, the cultural and language component, that holistic approach are just some items.
Priscilla Wolf, APTN National News, Saskatchewan.
We want to hear what you think about Saskatchewan's suicide prevention bill. Here's how you can continue the conversation. Send your emails to news@aptn.ca. You can leave a comment on aptnnews.ca. You can also, of course, find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and now TikTok. Follow APTN News to join the conversation and see our latest stories. The wealthy Vancouver couple who made headlines back in January for flying to a remote Yukon First Nation to jump the line for a COVID vaccine had their first date in court the other day. Rodney and Ekaterina Baker are each charged with failing to self-isolate and failing to follow their signed declaration of self-isolation in Whitehorse for 14 days. Their fines total $1,150 each, kind of pocket change for the former casino CEO and his actor wife. The pair did not appear in court in Whitehorse, and their lawyer actually asked that they adjourn the matter to May 18th, which was granted. Meanwhile, a representative for the First Nation that the Bakers flew into says she wants to see them held accountable for their actions.
I want to get to the court date, and I want to be there, and I want to see them on the Zoom, and I want to just, even have an opportunity to say what you've done to our community is unacceptable, and we're going to make you an example. Because today I'm advocating not just for White River First Nation. I'm here on behalf of a community, and really all small communities that are abused this way.
We need to take a break. There's still lots of news ahead, and here's something that we're working on for you.
I'm Tamara Pimentel. Today is Red Dress Day, a day to bring awareness to the missing and murdered Indigenous women across the country.
We want to take the time to honor our people and let them know that we haven't forgotten them.
On the Stoney Nakoda Nation in Alberta, red coats join red ribbon skirts to honor MMIW families in the community. I'll bring you that story tomorrow on APTN National News.
Welcome back. Manitoba is joining Alberta in expanding its vaccine rollout to include 12 to 15-year-olds in their adult age category. Today, the province announced that anyone 45 and older could book their second shot, and that more age-based expansion is coming shortly.
We aim to have all Manitobans 12 years and older eligible for first dose appointments by May 21st. But the most common question we hear when people come for their first dose is, when will I get my second dose? We're aiming to have the first group of people call or book online starting May 22nd to make appointments for their second doses. The second doses will begin going into arms no later than mid-June.
Second dose priority will go to those most immunocompromised and then to those who have been waiting the longest for their second dose. When most organizations are scaling back services and programs during the pandemic, APTN's Tina House looks at an organization in Vancouver that's not only standing up to the challenge, but succeeding in a big way.
Hi, Doreen. Here you go. We got your bag lunched in there, your water, and clubhouse salad and fries. Okay, you have a good one. We'll see you Monday, okay? You take care.
It's another busy day for the outreach team at the Vancouver Aboriginal Friendship Centre. Because of the pandemic, people don't come to the centre for their food anymore. So the centre delivers it to them 5 days a week.
For them to be able to have communication outside and expecting someone to come visit them where some of them are just isolated in their own homes by themselves. So it gives them that little incentive to, oh, well, we'll get to see her, even if it's for a few minutes. And your lunches. There you go.
Thank you so much. James Hunter says that he's proud that his team goes above and beyond to help people.
Where other agencies have kind of scaled back their programming and that, the Friendship Centre, we've expanded with our COVID funding through the federal government. And we're able to reach those populations out in the downtown east side, East Vancouver, families, singles.
Hunter says not only do they offer laptops to the community, but they offer other programs too.
Funders for my program, Reaching Home, has been really awesome. That's Service Canada. And so we're able to do a lot of stuff as far as helping people financially with rental subsidies, arrears, keeping people housed, and getting people housed.
They run 2 shelters for people needing a place to stay. And at this former gym turned shelter, which fits 20 clients, they are allowed to stay during the day and are provided with meals and snacks.
We have showers, facilities downstairs for all the guests. We also have laundry facilities downstairs.
Executive Director Susan Tatouche says she's proud of the work that they do for the community.
We have really tried to do is to maintain cultural teachings. Today we had our elder come in and talk about the meaning of blanketing. It's really important to ensure that even though we don't have cultural nights, even though we don't have our community events, it's important that we maintain the learning.
See you. We got another delivery.
Tina House, APTN National News, Vancouver.
Great work there. Still in BC, where high school completion rates for Indigenous students are improving. The Ministry of Education says that improvement is due to many factors, but Indigenous knowledge is a big one. Reporter Lee Wilson traveled to the Nisga'a Nation for a snapshot into their school district's success.
It's a foundation of their identity. It's a glimpse back into the past, but it's also embracing the current state that we live in.
In 1975, the Nisga'a School District 92 was created as the first Indigenous education district in British Columbia. Cultural and language principal Peter McKay shares the importance of culture in their district.
The vision of bringing a district and having our own school was founded by very influential Nisga'a, who wanted our people to be able to go to school in their own backyard.
Walax, a language teacher, introduces himself in Nisga'a and shares the importance of language in his students' education.
It creates an amazing foundation for their self-identity, and once they're founded in their identity, they have that confidence in learning and just being in the world. So,
in the past 5 years, the Nisga'a has seen graduation rates climb nearly 20%. District Superintendent Jill Jansen joined the team last summer and believes that the improvement is in part thanks to a refocus on culture.
But my impression is that there has been more of a focus on language and culture and making connections with students, increased celebration and ceremony at school.
The province of BC has seen Indigenous students' high school completion rates steadily increase since 2008. They were as low as 47% and now sit at 71% as of 2020, according to annual reports. The BC government recognizes that education is a key part of reconciliation and that it is critical to integrate Indigenous knowledge, traditions, languages into the classroom throughout the province.
A huge part of that is the new curriculum in BC and the infusion of First Peoples principles of learning. The revised curriculum that we have in BC allows for a lot more flexibility and actually requires us to pay attention to Indigenous knowledge and ways of knowing.
Charity Peel graduated the K-12 programs here in the Nisga'a School District before doing her post-secondary to become a teacher and guidance counselor. She says students having more say in their graduation plans has also been a factor.
Well, they're much more engaged and much more successful when they see themselves reflected in the curriculum and what they're learning about.
School leadership wants to bring even more culture and language in the future, with a tribute to the past when the school district was first established. They are hoping to create a dual graduation program with the Nisga'a language, similar to the current French immersion in the province. Language teacher Dorcas Stewart said it is also what the students are asking for.
One student said, we need to start. He said to me, we need to start speaking the language every day. So I said, I like that. I said, I do. We need to try.
Lee Wilson, APTN National News, Get Like Dynamics.
It's time for another break, but still ahead, celebrating accomplishments in Fort Liard, Northwest Territories.
The whole buzz around town was how proud everyone was of us, and especially the youth, and how well they were playing.
Welcome back. It's time now for our photo of the day. It is Red Dress Day today, of course. Our viewer Karen Mars sent us this picture to honor all women and girls, and especially today to remember our fallen sisters. This is from Curve Lake, northeast of Ontario. Keep these great photos coming. You can email them to share@aptn.ca, and you could be our next photo of the day. Let's take a look now at tomorrow's weather forecast. Starting off on the east coast, we got a mix of sun and cloud and 6 degrees for St. John's, 10, and some cloud for Halifax. La Grande River, mix of sun and cloud, 4 degrees. Kuujjuaq, same thing, but 8 degrees. Montreal, rain and 15, 7 for Sept-Îles. 14 and cloud, maybe a chance of showers for Ottawa, 14 degrees. So look out, rain and 8 degrees. Kapuskasing, 11 and 8. Lots of cloud in northern Ontario there. 5s for Thompson, God's Lake, and Norway House up in northern Manitoba. Sunshine, though, in the south. 6s for Barons River and Princess Harbour, 12 for Winnipeg. Sunny in southern Saskatchewan, too. 18s for North Battleford and Saskatoon and Estevan. Sunny in the north, too. 9 for La Ronge, 8 for Stony Rapids. Nice and warm up in northern Alberta. 20 for Peace River, sunshine there. 20 for Grand Prairie, mix of sun and cloud. 20 in Edmonton, mix of sun and cloud there, too. 21s for Lethbridge and Medicine Hat and sunny. Kamloops, cloud and 24 degrees. Vancouver, 16 and some showers. 13 for Prince Rupert, showers expected there. Showers for Prince George and 17. Dawson City, sunshine, 13 degrees. 11 for Whitehorse and Beaver Creek. 10 for Yellowknife and Wrigley, sunny sky. 16 for Fort Liard and Trout Lake. 0 and snow for Fort McPherson. Polytech, -4 and snow. Mix of sun and cloud, 1 for Baker Lake. -1 with a mix of sun and cloud for New Yacht. Kenite, 0 and some flurries expected. Pangertung, sunshine and 3 degrees. In Fort Liard, Northwest Territories, one member is saying goodbye to his community, but as Charlotte Moritz-Jacobs explains, the youth worker isn't worried about leaving, but rather grateful for all of the changes over the past few years.
And I chose all these posters that are all around for this place, and I really like this one here. Life is full of problems, but is also full of solutions.
Robert Lowe reflects on his time as the Youth Recreation Coordinator for the Atchoudaneco in Fort Liard, Northwest Territories. In the 3 years, he's accomplished what he set out to do.
When the hamlet was open, all they did was focus on 13 and under. And there was no programs for adults or high school students. And I actually got to talk to the band manager. And she suggested that I plan the hand games tournament and then see how it goes from there.
He hit the ground running.
It was actually during our second hand games tournament. We decided to go with straight youth. The whole buzz around town was how proud everyone was of us, and especially the youth, and how well they were playing.
Lowe is less than 24 hours away from moving to Fort Nelson, British Columbia, to work with youth. So naturally, it's time for one last gathering in the community arbor to honor the cultural revival Lowe's most proud of.
They used to have drum dances every day in the summer when I was younger. And I just realized one summer when I came back from college that there's no local drummers anymore. And I talked to a couple of those older ones, and they said they just don't have time anymore. And there wasn't really much for probably about 3 or 4 years where we had to hire outside drummers to come in.
Our brother Dale's going to start us off with the first song.
Dale Timbry takes every opportunity he can to drum.
When I was young, I used to just kind of have my hat down and used to drum like that, but now I just feel so good about playing it. I like to sing for people. I'm not shy. It's good.
The beat is contagious.
A lot of people didn't really learn. And then when we started, they started picking up after us more, and it was really good. And I like to see that because I know a lot of people, a lot of young boys there were grabbing drums, and it was really good.
I'm really going to miss this place. Not as much as they're going to miss me, though.
Friends and family say goodbye.
It's been a while since we did something like this.
While the day is bittersweet, Lo is grateful for what Acho-Deneko First Nation has given him.
It made me more in touch spiritually. I had more community pride than I did prior to that. And when we had our first hand games tournament in drum dance here, I felt really good, and I wanted to keep going. I didn't want it to be a one-off. I wanted it to just keep going, and here 6 years later.
Charlotte Mort Jacobs, APTN National News, Fort Liard.
Well, in just a couple days, it will mark 10 years since the Manitoba government made the decision to divert floodwaters to the Interlake regions and flood multiple First Nations in the process. All of this in order to spare Winnipeg. They had only hours to evacuate with what little they could carry and forced to live in hotels for years while their communities were rebuilt. Some still haven't returned home. And there's new worries that if the province has its way with a new water management plan, things will be bad again. But is there a fear that what happened in 2011 could be repeated in the future?
I think so. I think, with climate change and everything, for Lake Manitoba, I can only speak for, I'm surrounded by ring dikes from one end right to the other. So, there's definitely an encroachment there on my people. We're currently working on a flow structure for the water that we've put culverts and gates on them. So traps, I guess is what they call them, so that when water comes in, it can go out. But that's not the solution, though, right? You know, I think the solution is to have a structure in place. And we've never ever said no. We didn't want to have this outlet channels. We wanted to be involved in the planning each community because we have our ancestral lands and our hunting areas and various things like that. So I think it's important that the government recognizes that. There needs to be a process that needs to be followed in order to meet their needs as well. And all and the government always says, Pallister says that we're all Manitobans. He needs to treat us like that as well.
Sorry, I should have let you know that was a clip from today's In Focus, looking back on that devastation 10 years ago. You can find that entire episode of In Focus on the APTN National News Facebook page right now. Well, we are all out of time for your midweek news. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Melissa Ridgen. I'm going to leave you with a scene at the Forks here in Winnipeg on Red Dress Day. Have a good night.